Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm not sure what happened yesterday, but the video I shot, the sound on it was really horrible. So I'm just going to reshoot this really quick and just breeze over where I'm at. Did some more cleanup on the frame of the Little Giant. Still have a little bit more to go. This is in fact lead-based paint, so I'm using stripper on it, and that stuff is stuck on there good. I may end up pressure washing this with the sandblaster attachment that I have, and try and clean it up better that way, and that'll do a better job on the rust as well. The sow block is on there solid. I don't believe this has ever been off the hammer, and it has some good pitting on there, so locked in there pretty damn good. So have a nice chisel here, spring steel chisel that I made, and I give it a couple of whacks throughout the day and keep braking fluid on there. So hopefully I'll be able to break that loose and machine down that dovetail, get that all cleaned up. So some of the new parts that I got, this dummy shaft here, same diameter as the stock drive shaft, and that's used for pouring the Babbitt bearings, and that's what these collars are for. One collar goes on each side of both stanchions, and then the Babbitt right damming material goes under that. So when you pour that molten lead into the caps, into those recesses, it doesn't flow out. So that's how the bearings work on here. It's actually liquid lead with some other metals mixed in that you pour in there, and that forms the bearings. So more cleanup to do on those, obviously. Have to melt out the old Babbitting material. So I'm going to kind of go over really quick where I'm at on everything. I got a bunch of new parts in. And starting off with the right toggle arm, had to do that because the old toggle arm had broken at some point in time and been repaired. So talking with Greg at Little Giant, best idea to get rid of that. But by eliminating this and going to the old style arm, because these are no longer available, then you also have to revert back to the system where it uses knuckles and the toggle arms, or the toggle links with the adjustments on both sides. So no better or worse, just a different way of doing the same thing. New pins on everything. These are machined nice and tight. One of the things that I'll have to do on the old arm is weld these shut and then machine those back to a nice tight tolerance, because the pins in there from the years of use, top and bottom, are pretty loose. New ones, nice and tight there. So don't know if I'll take the time to machine this or just order another complete arm. They're kind of expensive, so I'll probably just weld those shut, and if I get a really good result on that, we'll be good to go. Okay, had to go with a new spring also because of this new setup. The intermediate spring's a little bit longer than the old style spring, so we got that. We got the knuckles, the toggle links. Had to order a new pitman arm, and they machined this out based on the measurements that I sent them on my pitman link that's in the drive shaft. So that's new. Maple blocks. Those go on the spider, and that's what engages the clutch to move the hammer. So we got new set of those. The Babbitting material. This is the Babbitt right. It's kind of like a clay consistency that you pack around those bearings when you pour the Babbitt bearings, and that keeps it from flowing out. This is an upgrade that Little Giant came up with for the return spring on the treadle. It switches out from that really thin, like 5/16 inch rod to like a tube setup with clevises on the ends, and makes the hammer a lot more responsive. So that's going to be a really cool upgrade to the hammer. The ram guide's in really good shape. Obviously, I still need to strip this, get it down to bare metal, but overall it's in great shape. The ways are in really good shape, and a lot of times you'll see, one thing I learned from the DVD is as these hammers get a little bit sloppier and the bearings loosen up, the toggle links will come down and hit the sides of this ram guide, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So that's in really good shape, as well as the ram itself. The guides are in really nice shape, no major pitting or anything like that. So those should be good to go. And I also ordered the shim packs, and that's what spaces the ram guide to the body so that you get the proper tightness on the ram. So we got those. We got the gasket shims for the cap bearings to shim those up properly. So that's ready to go. And the clutch fork, again, need to clean that up, strip it down. That's another pin that might need to be welded up and remachined, so we get a nice tight tolerance on that, so it's not slop on there. And then there's some wear in these, so one of two ways I'll have to go on the final assembly. These will either be just cleaned up and machined down a little bit more, or they'll have to be welded in and reformed to get the proper play in those. So some more work to do there, a little more stripping to do on the main ram, get that ready for paint. And then the clutch drum is actually in really good shape, and the Babbitt bearings on this, the tolerance seemed to be really tight when I was pulling it off the Spider. So hopefully I can get away without having to send this off to Little Giant to have them re-pour the Babbitt material in the center and to reface the clutch surface, which seems to be in pretty good shape there. After I got it out of the electrolysis tank, it was fairly clean, so a little more like maybe 1200 grit. I'll go over that and see if I can't chuck this up in the lathe and just smooth that out a little bit. And then overall, the flywheel, Spider, Pitman assembly, fairly good shape. A little more cleanup to do on that, but we're not going to pour or take those apart. That flywheel is no longer available, so if that gets split at all, that's it, game over. And same way with the clutch drum, no longer available. Those are not cast anymore, so those are probably the most critical parts of this. So that's pretty much it. I'm waiting on a ladle that I ordered to come in so that we could melt the Babbitt to pour the bearings. So as soon as I get that, by the time that comes in, I should have the frame all cleaned up and prepped to do the Babbitt bearings. And as soon as the bearings are done, then actually that's the hardest part of an entire rebuild on this hammer, is pouring those bearings. Once those are done, it basically becomes an assembly thing where you're just spending that time dialing in your shims on the ram guide so that your ram operates smoothly, and basically just working your tension on your toggle links to get that adjustment right, and those end up being just about parallel when they're in the hammer, and you do your adjustment on those. So that's how those go in there. So that's pretty much it for this update. I've been doing cleaning and descaling and a little more stripping to do on these parts and prepping and everything. So the next video that I put out probably in a week or so, hopefully I'll have all these parts cleaned up, all the paint stripped off. I did get the paint code from Little Giant, so I will be painting the entire thing this color, which is very close to the original green, and putting it all back together. So thanks for stopping by. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the serial number K5437, yeah, this hammer was shipped on the 3rd of October 1929, so a real piece of Americana there. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and stay tuned for the next video. Pouring those bearings is going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to that. It should be a real fun project. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great day, and get out in the shop and make something.